Breaking Alexandra Eala stands up for Coco Gauff. No one should be attacked for the color of their skin. The WAN Open of 2025 was meant to be a celebration of world-class tennis, fierce rallies, roaring crowds, and the electric energy of champions. But that Sunday night turned dark when the stadium packed with thousands of spectators witnessed something that no athlete, no human should ever endure. Coco Gauff, America's golden girl and global icon, was playing her semifinal match under the bright lights of the Wuhan Tennis Center. Her game was sharp, her focus unshakable. But as she lined up for a serve in the second set, an ugly noise cut through the air, jeers, slurs, words heavy with hate. And then, the unthinkable, a small object hurled from the stands, landing just feet away from her. For a moment, everything froze. The umpire rose. The crowd murmured, and Coco, calm, proud, and heartbroken, stepped back, breathing deeply, refusing to cry. She refused to let hate win. That night, the match ended with her victory. But the headlines the next morning were not about the score. They were about the wound that hate left on tennis. The world reacts. Videos of the incident spread like wildfire. Millions watched in disbelief as one of the sport's most beloved athletes faced racial abuse in 2025, an era that was supposed to be enlightened, global, united. Social media erupted in anger and grief. Hashtags like #StandWithCoo and #Stop. The hate trended worldwide. Celebrities, athletes, and politicians spoke out. But among the countless statements, one voice cut through the noise, clear and unwavering. Alexandra Eala, the 20-year-old Filipino tennis star known for her quiet confidence and fierce play, took to social media with a message that burned with compassion and conviction. No one should be attacked for the color of their skin. Not in sport, not anywhere. Coco stood tall when the world tried to break her. And that's what true strength looks like. It wasn't just a tweet. It was a statement of truth, of unity, of courage. Within hours, Ella's post was shared over 2 million times. Journalists called it the statement that reignited tennis's conscience. Why Ella's voice mattered. Alexandra Eala isn't just another player on the tour. She's a symbol of global diversity, of youth, of hope. Coming from the Philippines, she's broken barriers as one of Asia's brightest tennis stars, inspiring thousands of young athletes across continents. And yet, she has often spoken about the subtle prejudices that linger in international sports, the whispers about market value, the assumptions about where greatness can come from. When she spoke up for Coco Gauff, her words came from experience, from knowing what it means to feel different in a world that sometimes resists change. In an interview days later, Ella explained, "When I saw what happened to Coco, it hit me deeply. Tennis is supposed to unite, not divide. She didn't just face boos. She faced hate, and she handled it with grace. That's power. That's leadership." Her voice resonated not because she was famous, but because she was authentic. The message heard around the world. Ella's words became a spark that reignited a global movement within the tennis community. Players who had stayed silent before began to speak. Oriana Sabalenka, IG Swiatek, Anya Burr, and Naomi Osaka each released statements of solidarity. Serena Williams reposted Ella's quote on Instagram with a caption, "This is what leadership looks like." Coco Gauff, moved by the outpouring of support, responded directly to Alexander with a heartfelt message. "Thank you, Alex. You didn't just stand up for me. You stood up for every player who's ever been made to feel less than. I'll never forget it." the bond between the two. Young women, one from Florida, one from Manila, became a symbol of unity across borders. News outlets around the globe began to reframe the narrative. What began as an act of hate had transformed into a wave of collective defiance led by two women barely in their 20s. When silence breaks. For years, tennis had been criticized for its culture silence. Racism, sexism, and unfair treatment were often swept aside in favor of maintaining decorum. Players were discouraged from speaking politically or socially, but Eala changed something. Her post wasn't angry. It was honest, and in that honesty, players found their permission to be human. A British commentator wrote, "Eala did in 50 words what decades of press conferences could not." She reminded us that sports are not separate from the world's conscience. Soon, tennis organizations began to issue stronger anti-abuse policies. Stadium security was reviewed. The WTA released a statement condemning the incident and promising increased protection for players. But more importantly, fans began holding each other accountable. Comments section shifted from toxicity to empathy. Signs of support appeared in arenas worldwide. We stand with Coco. Hate has no home in tennis. Behind the words, Eala's heart. Those close to Alexandra Eala weren't surprised by her statement. Friends describe her as quietly fierce, someone who doesn't speak often, but when she does, people listen. The turning point. Weeks later, during the WTA finals, both Coco Gauff and Alexandra Eala qualified for the singles draw. It was poetic. Two women bound by courage now sharing the same stage. Before the tournament began, the organizers played a short tribute video, scenes of both players in action, overlaid with Ella's quote, "No one should be attacked with color their skin. Not in sport, not anywhere." The crowd rose in applause. Coco looked emotional. Alex looked humble but proud when they met in the hallway before their matches. They hugged quietly. No words needed. Later, that week, Eala posted a photo of them. Both captioned different routes. Same fight. It became the most liked tennis post of the year. The legacy of courage. Months after the incident, both women continued to use their platforms to inspire. Coco launched a foundation supporting youth sports equality. Alexander partnered with global organizations to fight discrimination in athletics in a world often divided by color, politics, and fear. Their friendship stood as proof that empathy is the strongest force of all. A New York Times op-ed summed it up perfectly. Coco Gauff showed grace under fire. Alexandra Eala gave that grace a global voice. Together, they didn't just play tennis, they changed it. Sunrise, epilogue, the future they built. In the end, the Wuhan Open of 2025 will not be remembered for its final scoreline. It will be remembered for what happened after, when one young woman endured hate and another answered it with love. Coco Gauff didn't let hate silence her. Alexandra Eala didn't let fear stop her. And because of them, thousands of young athletes now know that their worth isn't defined by the color of their skin, but by the light they carry inside. As Eala said during an emotional speech months later in Manila, if one person stands up, the world may listen. But if 1,000 stand together, the world changes. Let's keep standing. And so they did. From the cracked courts of the Philippines to the grand stages of Wimbledon and Roland Garros, a new generation rose, one that believed in fairness, unity, and love stronger than hate, all because one voice refused to stay silent. Thank you for watching. Please don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like and share.